And the reality is something is going to happen. The moment we were born, we were given a death sentence as well. The gift of life is also the gift of death. But when we accept that, we can live and flourish and have the most vibrant lives possible.
If you're not conscious about your investment strategy, you won't end up where you want to be, not financially or as a human. On this show, we interview highly successful investors and share how they overcame limitations to become unstoppable forces of success. If you're ready to learn what it is to be a conscious investor so you can end up where you want, keep listening.
Hey, conscious investor, welcome back. Today, I want to talk about reclaiming your personal freedom through your health, your mindset, and your wealth. And honestly, I want you to know I've written a lot on this topic. And you know that I've created so many podcast episodes on this exact topic. And I even put a lot of that content into Bard AI. And finding AI it's a double-edged sword. I can't change it. So I'm trying to figure out how do I use it and leverage it for good, right? And I put all this content into Bard. And I said, hey, Bard, can you help me turn this into a podcast episode, summarize this into a podcast episode? And Bard created this beautiful summary. I mean, it's illustrious. It's so beautiful. It's so concise. I mean, it would make me sound like such a rock star. And yet I want to share with you, I tried to record this episode multiple times, using some of those talking points. And what's weird is that they're my talking points. It's not something that AI created. I gave it all of the things that I've created and just said, hey, organize this for me. And it did a beautiful job of it. So why am I feeling that resistance? Why have I had to hit stop and start so many times trying to record this episode for you? Quite frankly, conscious investor, this comes down to authenticity. And I believe now more than ever, authenticity is something that is under attack. And it's paramount. Yes, health, mindset, and wealth are the core foundations of the conscious investor. Yes, financial freedom is not the same as personal freedom. And we need to be pursuing personal freedom because it does include financial freedom. But I think that there's something more to all of this. And that something more is that where is the authenticity of it? I'm going to be completely divergent and contrarian to myself and to Bard's summary of what I asked it to provide. And I want to ask you, as you are pursuing your health, your mindset, and wealth, are you doing it in a genuine and authentic way? Let me ask you some questions. Maybe these can be some guiding questions. And I'm just letting you know, I'm winging this. And so that might be obvious as we go through this, but I'm curious if we look at our health echelon, right? And we're evaluating that. Why? Why? What is the motivation of you getting all those workouts in, of getting all the right nutrients into your body, of staying so focused, of using your habit tracker to make sure I drank all my water for today. Check, 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 check. I've got all my protein for today. Check, check, check. I've got my fats and I've got my carbs. I've got my, right. Wait, what is going on? Now, you've heard me say before in the podcast, like there is nothing wrong with obsession. And I know the world would think that is insane, but the more I've gone down the path of, highly successful people and people who have the greatest contribution in the world, they are all people who are not half-hearted in anything. So I want to encourage you. I'm not pointing any of the habit tracker things out to say like, oh, don't be obsessive. Like, oh, there's something wrong with you. Obsession is very healthy. It is very good and it's very productive. You might not have ever heard that before, but there's some great essays that definitely support and point to that. I would lean you towards Peter Drucker's essay on managing oneself. Paul Graham's essay on how to do really great work discusses this. Let's see, Brendan Burchard's High Performance Habits discusses obsession. And they point out that it is really, really valuable. But I want to challenge you right now, conscious investor. Is your obsession with 75 hard, cold plunges, saunas, all of these things, is it authentic to you? And you see, we can be doing the very best things in the world, and we could be extremely well intended. You've heard me say before, heart disease runs in my family. And so I'm mindful about getting proper exercise because I want to keep a strong heart, right? That's authentic. That's true. But we can also become so much leaning on the other side of things where we think that we can beat out every disease, that we can beat out any catastrophe that is going to happen in our life if we simply follow certain protocols. And so we find ourselves chasing after these things, obsessing over our health, obsessing over our nutrition, over how many hours we sleep, over what our Oura ring is telling us, and we're bankrupting the other parts of our life. Where is the joy? Because I'm just telling you, there's a lot of joy in having a slice of apple pie in the day after Christmas, right? I know that's really not necessarily the healthiest thing, but but do you see, it even provided lightness in this episode. Sometimes we can be so consumed and obsessed, and we think that we are in so much control of our lives, and that if we do everything right, nothing is going to happen. If you're watching on YouTube, seeing I'm getting a little choked up over here. I apologize, Coachless Investor. I don't apologize. It's good. It's good to have our emotions intact. Most of you know my dad was healthy when he dropped dead. And recently, over the last 6 months, I've been the car right behind 2 major accidents. I am a recovering control freak. We all know that. We're all aware of this, right? And I used to live this checklist life. And there's another podcast episode dedicated to the checklist life. I encourage you to go and listen to that. But we can become so obsessive and believe that if we just do our part, nothing is going to happen. And the reality is, conscious investor, is that something is going to happen. And I'm going to burst some bubbles, but to say the moment we were born, we were given a death sentence as well. The gift of life is also the gift of death. And that sounds really wild to a lot of people. But when we accept that, we can live and flourish and have the most vibrant lives possible. We're no longer trapped and consumed. We're able to live fully present and engaged lives. We don't have to just go through the motions and have this checklist so that we can circumvent all the worst things that could possibly happen. Conscious investor, bad things will happen. Are you bankrupting your life because you are so consumed and focused on, if I eat all the right foods, if I only have organic, if I only eat at certain types of restaurants and I avoid MSG and I only eat bananas that are definitely not sprayed with pesticides? I know. I mean, like, some of these things I know are common sense, you guys. I am saying that obsession can kill the joy and gift of life. It can be so consuming. I remember when I was doing 75 hard, and I encourage you to go back and listen to the episode where I reference why I quit 75 hard. It was actually bankrupting the other parts of my life. I was so consumed with, I have to get this second workout in. I have to make sure I have all this water. I have to. It was a whole bunch of have tos. Meanwhile, my family's wanting to do some other things. And it's creating this dividing line. And instead of bringing my worlds together, I started fracturing things. We have to be extremely mindful of what we're pursuing Is it authentic to our values? Is it serving those values? You know, I want to live a healthy life. And I'm certain that you want to live a healthy life as well, conscious investor. And part of living a healthy life is being aware so that we're balanced and we can live a joyful life. That we're not restricted so much so that it's more like suffocating the beautiful elements of life. I'm not saying that means you have to go and eat the whole birthday cake, okay? I'm not saying that you have to go and do anything in excess or even have any of the foods and such that take place at celebrations. But we need to be mindful as to, is my workout plan allowing me to show up to the things that matter most in my life? Is my nutrition plan serving my body powerfully while serving the most important things in my life? Or am I just doing this in a way that makes me feel good on a superficial level? It makes me look good when I share about it on social media platforms. Maybe I should have stuck with Bard AI's summary, because this is definitely not part of what Bard said. But I want to ask you another question, conscious investor. When we talk about living authentic lives and using that as the bedrock of the conscious investor, of what you are pursuing as you are pursuing that financial freedom, maybe you're lopsided in your pursuit of personal development. Maybe your Amazon cart is full of books that if you do these things, you're going to expand your world. You're going to have this new capacity, this new bandwidth, this new understanding that is going to help you serve. You've got all the retreats you're going to attend already marked on the calendar every quarter, twice a year, however often. I'm going to be there because I want to invite all this into my life. Conscious investor, these are great things in our lives. But again, I ask, at what cost? Is it authentic? Are we so consumed chasing and pursuing these elements that we're bankrupting and blind to these other elements of life? In all fairness, I have found that I fall into this category. I love change. I love evolution. I like the excitement. There's that dopamine rush that comes when you are learning something new, and it's addictive. It's like, oh my gosh, I just want to keep learning new things. This is amazing. But at some point, that becomes shallow and superficial. At some point, what is the point of all of that learning? What is the point of all that personal expansion and transformation if we don't have capacity to actually live it out, to enjoy it, to receive it, to share it with those around us, to actually put it into action in some capacity? You see, personal development is a beautiful thing. Reading for 20 minutes a day, or 10 pages a day, or however your reading schedule is. This also comes in the form of excessive podcast consumption, excessive audiobook consumption, and I'm guilty of all of this. And I'm saying this with a smile on my face because I know it, and I'm okay with that. It's not a judgment, it's not a sentence, but I'm raising my awareness. And maybe that's landing with you as well, conscious investor. We have to raise our level of awareness. We need to be connected at that deeper level to what we are doing. Well, why do I want to grow and expand and develop? If I don't have time to put that into action, to put that into work in a meaningful way, it's pretty meaningless. If my personal expansion is not allowing me to show up to the most meaningful relationships in my life in an important way might be pretty meaningless. I want to encourage you, just take inventory. You've probably done some reflection over the last couple of months because I know that you are a thoughtful, conscious investor. But add some intentional reflection in this area. Look at your podcast episodes that you're listening to. Look at the lineup. I know if I look at the lineup, it is heavy, heavy, heavy on personal development. And yeah, I have other categories as well. And we'll talk about those in just a moment. But I have to be aware. Let me share something I'm doing this year. And that is throughout the next 12 months, I am going to be rereading books that I've read over the last few years. I'm going to slow my pace of new content. And instead of going wider and bringing in new, I want to go and revisit some old elements. And I'm going to revisit some books that were very transformative in my life. Spoiler, I think many of you have heard me mention these books. I've already mentioned some in the podcast episode, but I know I will be rereading High Performance Habits. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm literally looking at my bookshelf going, okay, check, check. I'll reread The Obstacle is a Way. That's one of my favorite Ryan Holiday books. It's like the OG of those books. I'm going to reread The Untethered Soul. And I am definitely going to be reading. I already ordered it. It's coming my way. I hope you ordered it as well. But my friend Hal Elrod, he just updated The Miracle Morning. He added so much content. So that's going to be a twist on the reread. But I'm going to be rereading these books. And that will give me an idea of like, wow, I'm going to see some things that I didn't see before. I'm going to be able to see myself in a different way. But it's also going to allow me to go deeper in a more meaningful way. For me, that feels very grounding and very authentic. I want to encourage you to consider, how are you going to create authenticity in this area? If you're lopsided in the personal development area, what's going to kind of help level that out to some extent? We've talked about 2 of the 3 echelons of the conscious investor. We've talked about health. We've talked about mindset. But if we want to reclaim our personal freedom, we have to be aware and authentic in all 3 areas. And so let's talk about the final pillar, and that is wealth. Conscious investor, are your eyes constantly on the next deal? Are you consumed with what's taking place in the stock market, in the debt markets? Are you looking for the distressed opportunities because you are a go-giver and you want to solve problems and you want to make money doing it? There's nothing wrong with that. I celebrate that. But are you so busy on building this tangible wealth, pursuing after next, that your nutrition is suffering? You're not feeling the energy that you felt before. You're not sleeping as well as you felt before. And maybe you're not showing up in the best ways. Maybe you're getting a little rough around the edges because you are tired of sellers not really coming into reality with the market, right? That can feel very legit. Maybe we're getting that frustration and we're having a difficult time navigating it. You see, conscious investor, we need to raise our level of awareness on how we're showing up as we are pursuing wealth. Are we doing it in an authentic way? Are we chasing after it just because other people are chasing after it? Are we trying to get to a certain net worth level because of fear? Because I promise you this, it's better that we are running to something than from something. And when we're running from something, it will sustain us for a period of time, but it's also going to just deplete us and rot us on the inside. It will take its toll. So I want to encourage you, evaluate. Why do I think I need this net worth? Why do I need to get this net worth to join that mastermind or to be part of this group over here? Really challenge yourself. Do you really believe the grass is greener? Or is that just how you're perceiving it? I think that if most of us really stepped back, we might have some different opinions on this. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of these areas. There's definitely nothing wrong with generating tangible wealth and income and financial stability in our lives. That's a beautiful thing. That's awesome. There's nothing wrong with having a substantial net worth. I commend you for that. It's a beautiful thing. Personal development is beautiful. It allows us to show up in a great way. Pursuing healthy lifestyles is really absolutely critical. It is foundational to the conscious investor. But as I wrap this up, I want to encourage you, challenge yourself. What is it that you are, why are you pursuing these things? Are you pursuing them in an authentic way? Or are you doing it for other people? Are you doing it for the checklist? Are you doing it just to feel good and to feel like in control? And well, if something goes sideways, I know I did my part. It's a lot of difference in how we approach things. And there are a lot of other ways we could approach this. I want to encourage you, let me know the other ways that you might be approaching this. I want to know what challenged you, what inspired you, what made you curious. Because when we look at the world through that lens of being challenged, inspired, curious, we open ourselves up to a really big opportunity. I appreciate you so much, conscious investor. I want you to know that pursuing these things are good. But again, we don't want to bankrupt any part of our life as we are pursuing anything at all in our life. Conscious Investor Growth Summit is coming up in just a couple of months. It is right around the corner. And while we're just saying, hey, how are we pursuing these things? One of the powerful elements of that event is that it is about grounding. It's about going deeper. It's about creating meaningful relationships with like-minded people so that you can really show up to everything you're doing in the most authentic way. I want to invite you to join us. There are only 150 people that will be there, and it's 3 days of just beautiful time to learn, expand, grow. Lots of interaction. And remember, those speakers are there to serve you. They're going to be accessible. Some very strong, powerful, wonderful people that are willing to pour into you throughout the event. They're not going to be strangers. It's an opportunity to expand your network and build friendships. You don't want to miss out. March 7th through 10th. The 7th is an evening reception, and it's going to be so much fun. You don't want to miss it. With that said, I want to extend a special opportunity for you, conscious investor. If you use the promo code FRIEND, you're going to get 50% off your ticket. Because this is a meeting of friends. There are no strangers, just friends we haven't met yet. So you're coming to friends. You're coming to meet your friends. You haven't met a lot of them yet, but you're going to meet them there. So I want you to head over to consciousinvestorgrowthsummit.com. Pick up your tickets today. Use the promo code FRIENDS because we're friends. And you'll have 50% off your ticket. Until next time, cheers to health, mindset, and wealth.